Good day, guys. This is Mr. Prince Maths and Science class, and in this video I'm going to be talking about word problems on trigonometry. In the previous video I introduced trigonometry, and then I did some questions on the word problems. So I'm just going to be doing some additional questions. And the first question says, a television tower is 180 feet high and an observer is 150 feet from the base of the tower. Find the angle of elevation to the top of the tower from the place where the observer is standing. I already said it before, I already explained angle of elevation and angle of depression. For example, let's say this is somebody, right? And this is horizontal line of sight. The angle, when the person looks up, that's what we call angle. The angle the person eyes faces to look up is the angle of elevation. Okay, and when the person looks down, we call it depression. This is the angle of depression when a person is looking at something underneath. So I'm going to draw the illustration. So let's assume that this is the television tower. This is the television tower, okay? And they said the television tower is 180 feet high. 180 feet high. Okay? And they said, and the question says, the television tower is 180 feet high and an observer is 150 feet from the base of the tower. So let's say that this is the observer here. Okay? This is the observer here. It's 150 feet from the base of this tower. So this is 150 feet. Okay, so it says we should find the angle of elevation to the top of the tower. So let's use this one to connect this side. So this is the person, this is the line of sight, this is horizontal line of sight, and it's looking up. So this is the angle, let's call it theta. So I can draw it again like this. Let me draw it so that it's much simplified. So this is 180 feet, this is 150 feet, and this is theta. This is what we're looking for. So to find the angle of elevation, it will be tan, because we are given opposite and adjacent. So that will be tan theta is equals to 180 divided by 150. Okay, so 180 divided by 150 will give us 1.2. So that will be tan theta is equals to 1.2 degree. Okay, so we can find the arctan of 1.2 degrees. So theta is equals to the arctan of 1.2 degrees. That will give us 50.19 degrees. So we can say therefore that the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is approximately 50 degrees. Okay, so the next question says, an airplane climbs at an angle of 11 degrees with the ground. It says find the distance it has traveled when it has attained an altitude of 450 feet. It says the airplane climbs. So let me just draw the airplane. So let's say this is the airplane. Boom, boom, boom. So this is the airplane, right? So the airplane climbs at an angle of 70 degrees from the ground. So let's say this is the ground. Okay, this is the ground. This is the angle from which it climbs. It's 11 degrees, a very short angle. Okay, and it says we should find the distance it has traveled when it has attained an altitude of 450 feet. So now the height that the height that the airplane has reached in the atmosphere is 450 feet. So we call this place 450 feet. Okay, so this is the ground. It makes 11 degrees with the ground. So now let me draw it to make it much more simplified. So draw it as a right angle triangle. So this makes up 11 degrees with the ground. So this is the ground. Okay, and the altitude is 450 feet. 450 feet. Okay, so this is the side that we're looking for is this side. It says if you find the distance it has traveled after it has attained. So while it's in the air, as it's attaining, like as it's moving up, how much distance has it covered? So this is it, x. Okay, so now so it will be sine 11 degree is equals to 450 feet divided by x. Okay, so now if we cross multiply, so it will be x is equals to 450 divided by sine 11. Okay, so that will be 2358.38 feet. So that's approximately 2358 feet. Okay, so that's how much distance it has traveled when it attained altitude of 450 feet. So the next question is, Getty the golfer is looking at a tree that is 90 feet away from the nest. If the angle of elevation between Getty's nest and the top of the tree is 35 degrees, how tall is the tree? So let's say that this is Getty the golfer. Okay, he's looking at a tree, and let's say this is the tree here. Okay, let's say she's looking at a tree that is 90 feet away for her. So she's looking up to the tree. Okay, so it says if the angle of and the distance between Getty and the nest from and the tree is 90 feet. So this is the distance here. This is 90 feet. Okay, so it says the angle of elevation between Getty's nest and the top of the tree is 35. So when she's looking up, it's about 35 degrees. Okay, so now we have to find the height. How tall is the tree? That's the height of the tree. Okay, so in this case it will be tan 35 is equal to the opposite side is h and the adjacent is 90. Okay, so when we cross multiply, so h is equals to 90 tan 35 degrees. Okay, so that will be equals to 63.02 feet. So that's approximately 63 feet. So the tree is 63 feet tall. Okay, so that's it for that question. So another question we have is, a ladder is leaning against a wall and the foot of the ladder is 8 feet from the wall. The ladder makes an angle of 72 degrees with the level ground. How high on the wall does the ladder reach? So let's assume that this is the building, this is the wall, sorry. So this is the wall. Okay, and the ladder is resting on it. Okay, so that's the ladder leaning on the wall. So this says the ladder makes an angle of 72 degrees with the level ground. Okay, this is the level ground. This is the ground at which the wall is and the ladder is. So it says it makes an angle of 72 degrees. This side is 72 degrees. It says that the foot of the ladder is 8 feet away from the wall. So the distance between the wall and the ladder is 8 feet. Okay, and it says how high on the wall does the ladder reach? So we are looking for this side. How high up the wall does the ladder rest on the wall? So now since we have gotten it like that, we can draw it this way. So right angle triangle. So this is 72 degrees. This is the hypotenuse. This is h. This is 8 feet. Okay, so that will be tan 72 degrees is equals to, opposite is h, that's the height of the ladder we're looking for, high of the wall, and then 8 feet. So that will be, you cross multiply, that will be 8 tan 72. So we punch it in the calculator, 8 tan 72, so we should get 24.2 feet. Okay, so that's approximately 24 feet. It's approximately 24 feet. Yeah, so that's it. So now we'll do the last question. The last question says, a plane is 1,500 feet off the ground. When it begins its approach to the runway, how far is the plane from the runway if the pilot lowers the nose at an angle of depression of 18 degrees to meet the runway? So let's assume, I don't want to draw the plane again. Let's assume that this is the plane, okay? And this is the horizontal line of sight. And it says the plane is 150 feet off the ground. So let's say that this is the ground. Okay, this is the ground. Okay, it's 150 feet high up in the sky. So this is 1,500 feet high up in the sky. So this is it. Okay, and it says, how far is the plane from the runway if the pilot lowers the nose at an angle of depression? So this is the angle of depression, right? This side is 18 degrees. Okay, it's 18 degrees. So this side, this side is a 90-degree angle, right? This side is a whole 90 degrees. So this side, 90 minus 18 will give us 72. So this will be 72 degrees. So we know that this is an alternate angle. So this side, an alternate angle will be of this angle will be equals to this angle. So two alternate angles like that form the shape of Z, they are equals to each other. Okay, so this is 18 degrees. Okay, and this is the runway. So now we have to find if the pilot lowers the nose at an angle of depression of 18 degrees to meet the runway. So this is the runway. Okay, so now we are looking for this side X. But now I'm going to solve this question in two ways. Now you can see that we have two angles. Okay, so now we can decide to use 72 degrees. So if we use 72 degrees, that will be cos 72 is equals to 1,500 divided by x. So let's cross multiply. So that's x cos 72 degrees is equals to 1,500. So x is equals to 1,500 divided by cos 72. Okay, so in that case we get 4,854.10 feet. Okay, which is approximately 4,854 feet. Or we can do it like this. We can do it as some sine. We can use 18 degrees. So when we use 18 degrees, now this side we are given now to be the opposite and the hypotenuse. So that will be sine 18 degrees is equals to 1,500 divided by x. Okay, so if we do x is equals to 1,500 divided by sine 18. So let's do that, punch that in the calculator. So that's 1,500 divided by 0.3090. So when you punch that in the calculator, you will get 4,854 feet. So you still get the same answers. Okay, so that's it for trigonometry, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'll be talking on trigonometric identities in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you and peace out.